So, now we're going to take a second to thank our patrons.
Oh, it's recording now.
It's recording.
Oh.
It's been recording. We would like to thank Cheryl Eisenhower,
Allison Connors,
Krisha Dolan,
Katie Grant,
J.S.,
Leah Tab, hi Leah,
hi Leah, Birdie Tam, hi Birdie,
and Natalie Curry.
And now, for this week's blessing.
May your load be as plentiful as Johnny sins.
All right, so this week on the Mud Peddlers, we are continuing our NCECA preparatory interview series, and this week we have another very special guest, Ana Morales, and she is the Public Engagement Coordinator at Verge Center for the Arts. So, welcome!
Yeah. Thanks.
Hello,
Thank
Ana.
you for having me. Yes.
Oh my gosh, well, thank you so much for taking the time to sit with us and, tell us about Verge and about your art and just about kind of everything. We're really excited to have you on.
Thanks.
Yeah, we're so close
I'm
to
excited
Verge.
too. Oh yeah, where are you guys at?
We're both in Sacramento, but like my job is like 5 blocks away from Verge, and I'm always like, should I go in there? And then I'm like, nah, I probably shouldn't.
Oh my gosh, you should.
Yes, yes. That's actually the secret goal of this entire, podcast episode is just like, we're just convincing Donte to actually step into Verge. So,
I like my garage a lot. People bring me food. I don't have to leave. If I had a set of weights in here, I wouldn't. And a bathroom.
Well, yeah.
You either die with a pee jar or you live long enough to see yourself build a bathroom.
Oh, God.
There is a bathroom at Verge, just
That's
in
good.
case that, just in case for emergencies only. So whereabouts 5 blocks away, and can I get on in this food situation? I don't know.
I don't want to say exactly where I work because
Donte's too popular. We would have to defend him at the gates of his restaurant.
I'm not that popular, but
And-
I'm popular enough for some people to be like, I don't like that guy. I'm just gonna hailstorm his job. You know what I mean? He said brown clay is bad on camera, and I want him fired.
Oh man, I love brown clay. By the way, is it brown or red? I don't get it.
I say redstone, but a lot of beginners identify it as like brown because of the color.
Yeah.
Even though we know there's iron in it, so it's more red iron oxide. We know it's red, but yeah,
Speaking
it
of
is red,
which,
yeah.
Anna, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your experiences with clay and kind of what all you do at Verge and how you got involved with art? Tell us everything about yourself.
Okay, everything. Oh goodness.
I know. It's like that makes for an easy interview question, right?
Let me break it down for y'all. Well, I never really. It's really tough to say, like, I'm an artist. I would struggle with that, just because there's like this huge craft part of my life. Anyways, so even way back when, like as a high school student, I never took any art classes. Maybe one, probably didn't go so well. I've always liked to work with my hands and like to like doodle and stuff like that. But, I never thought I can draw. And so I always was like, okay, well, if you're an artist, you can draw. Right. But, that's not the case. Duh. Like what? I'm so, dumb child. Anyways, so I didn't really get into...
I definitely wouldn't say that's a dumb child thing. I think that's absolutely there are so many structures that like tell us that as we're growing up. It's like we only have like a limited scope of like what it means to be an artist. And so it's
Right.
like, I think that's a very understandable conclusion for a young you.
Yeah, they pigeonhole us into like, if you're an artist, you must have this basic set of skills. But we're all very individual. Like, I don't know how to draw. I have no idea how to draw. I've never drawn on a mug. Like,
Oh, it's hard. It's really hard. I've tried. Yeah. But so I grew up in Woodland, not too far from Sacramento. It's a farm town, basically. So there's not a whole lot of art there. So yeah, not really exposed to it a whole lot. But I also kind of grew up on a vegetable farm, so I was always in the dirt, always like digging holes and stuff, and I used to find little I called it clay at the time, but I don't know if it was actually clay, but anyways.
Clay adjacent, something along those lines. Different than regular dirt.
Yes. It wasn't dirt. It was gold to me.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I like that.
I was always like building little structures with like bricks and just like I was yeah, I had an older brother who could draw. Yeah. So anyways, grew up not really knowing what art, really was. And I had still have a uncle who is in prison, and he would send me these gorgeous drawings, and he would always encourage me to send him drawings. And so I started drawing just just cute little landscapes of like horses and like trees and spiders and stuff. So that's kind of what kind of kicked off my interest in keeping up a practice of drawing, because I hated it so much. But he was always so encouraging, right? And I would get these like wonderful drawings from him, and yeah, so
That is so sweet. Oh my gosh. Like, oh, thank goodness for supportive family members who help us with that kind of stuff. Oh my gosh, that is so touching.
That's nice.
but yeah, of course he was like in prison far, far away. So he was interesting. Anyways, so I pretty much didn't really study art until after high school. I went to Woodland Community College and studied with Terry Turner. I believe he's passed away now. But I had this like art class with him, and I took humanities with him, and he really encouraged me to study art, and I really like the sculpture part of his class. And so I kind of I just wanted to get out of Woodland, so I left there, and did this little stint of like Sacramento, Humboldt, and then back to Sacramento. And so I landed at City College, where I met you, Lindsey.
Yes.
And so I just took a bunch of art classes there, a lot of 2D work. I worked at a shelter, at a women's and children's safe house in Yolo County, and they saw basically how interested I was in art, and just because I was like doing all my homework there, I worked nights, so I would stay up all night and do all my work. And so they actually paid for a program. I believe it's called A Window Between Worlds. No, I don't know. That's probably wrong. I don't know.
That sounds cool though. I'm like,
that sounds on the nose.
Yes.
Yeah.
That sounds like they always come up with like pseudo cheesy titles where they're just cheesy enough to not be.
Yeah, totally. So they paid for this training and sent me to Santa Monica, which was a great. It was a nice little vacation from working at a nonprofit. Place where you're working with victims and stuff and survivors. But yeah, and so that was a great experience, and they kind of taught me how to facilitate these art workshops for these women and children in the shelter that really just couldn't talk about their trauma, and they just kind of gave them a voice to kind of heal basically from all of their trauma through craft and through art. And and so I started doing these workshops with the women and kids there, and I didn't really know it at the time, but I really loved that, sharing that experience of like, this is what I know and how to do, and let's do it together. And like, there was so many like of those aha moments where it's like they're creating these things and like playing with all these textures with their hands, and Yeah. Okay. I'm just like going off on it.
No, I
you're
love
good,
it.
you're
I
good.
love it. I'm just sitting here like, oh.
No, I get it. Like, whenever some people get, like, broken down real hard by life, and
Yeah.
a lot of people find one thing. Like, somebody breaks up with you, and you're like, I'm going to go to the gym, and I'm going to live there. And that becomes like, they build themselves back up with an art form, and I totally understand it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of where I started with like, okay, I can probably do this as a life choice, but that job was really hard. It was a domestic violence and sexual assault safe house, and so I worked there for probably 6-7 years, and my dad passed away, and I kind of went through like my own kind of trauma, and still taking classes at City and at CRC, and I had never really touched clay before, and so the year that my dad passed away, I quit my job, and I took a wheel throwing class because I was just like, let's just see what this is about. I don't really know. I've never worked with clay. I've never even took like a regular ceramics class, and I just like went for it. And that's when I met Bob Schumacher. And I just like, we just clicked. I probably needed some sort of like father figure at the time. And
I'm really sorry to hear about your dad, by the way. Like that's hard.
It was rough. But also like it was very like I don't even know what the word is. Transformative. I don't know. Like you just change, right? Like you just
Pain changes you for sure.
You're not
It breaks some people down, but some people are like, I kind of, to a weird extent, needed that to be the person I am today.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for the person I am today. So in a weird negative way, like, yeah, that was the alchemy that changed me to who I am.
Absolutely.
I get it.
Yeah. Ugh, that just gave me a little chills right now.
Yeah, that was the alchemy that changed me. Oh, that's good. I needed to hear that right now. That's good.
Oh, I'll go back to double-digit IQ, Dante.
Yeah. No, keep it. You're good.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's great. So yeah, it was weird. It was a weird time, and it was really what I needed. Because when you're on the wheel, it's like there's nothing else but you and that wheel spinning, and I just needed that time to just focus on myself. Really, I got real selfish at that time, and kind of just started doing what I wanted to do, and found Clay and found Bob and started working for him, and he started kind of, mentoring me, tutoring me. I don't know what the word is, apprentice. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say apprentice. When people talk about Yoshio, I say apprentice, because like, he let me follow him around and learn from him, and he didn't shoo me away, and I'm like, I learned from him, apprentice.
So yeah, it was really, really wild. And not to get even more sappy, but I used to wear this ring that I bought with my dad. Like my dad gave me like some money like a long time ago after my parents divorced, and so I bought this ring in Old Sac, and like I wore it because like I was just so heartbroken because of like their divorce or whatever, and I wore it on my like ring finger for like ever, and pretty much the first week in that wheel throwing class, I lost the ring, and it was like a year after, or like the same year my dad passed away, and like I was like devastated.
The clay took it.
The clay took it.
The clay, that was its sacrifice it needed for you to...
And, like, that was, like, the only piece of jewelry that I ever wore. And, like, it was just, like, so devastating. But at the same time, like, it was almost like I didn't need that shit anymore. Like, I was just, like, I don't even know.
The clay took it for a reason. Praise the sun. The clay giveth, the clay taketh away.
Oh my gosh, that's really beautiful though. Like I love hearing how you interpret your experiences, like in that way that you kind of you make so much meaning out of these things that, are, like there's no way that, losing a ring or losing your dad is ever going to be something you would want to happen.
Yeah.
But like I can think about the same thing because I lost my sister 5 years ago, and it's like I will always want her back.
Yeah.
But the way that those experiences, like we're saying, change us in the way that we interpret those experiences and who we are because of them. Anyway, I just really appreciate how you like.
Don't cry, Lindsey.
Well. I'm keeping it together.
I can see you.
I'm fine.
If you both cry and I don't cry, I'm gonna look like an a-hole on camera.
No.
For not joining in the group cry. And then all the people are gonna be like, "Oh, he's a dude. Oh, they suck. They don't ever cry."
No, man. I'm full support of you crying. I'm just gonna try and keep it together myself.
Yeah, I'm not crying, you're crying.
Yeah. Onions? Yeah. Nobody's chopping onions. Yeah.
It's just the plight of onions makes me real sad. So, like, I usually ask this kind of question for anyone who kind of helps run a place. But if I went to, like, let's say I was a complete beginner and I went into Verge and I was looking for classes.
Yes.
Where would you personally direct me? As, like, I didn't know anything about art, like, period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also, like, what is Verge? Because I think also I'm actually amazed at how many times I mentioned, like, oh yeah, like, because was it in the spring of 2020, but in the before times, I taught a class at Verge. In the before times, yes. And it's amazing how many people I meet in Sacramento who I'm like, oh yeah, I'm teaching a class at Verge, and they're like, what? Like, what's Verge? And so, like, I'm sorry, Donte, I totally cut you off there, but also,
No, it's
like,
fine. No,
to start out, like, for our listeners,
you're good. You're fine.
What is Verge for people?
What is
who have
Verge
never...
first? Yeah.
Yeah.
She's right.
Verge, I like to say it's for the people. Just because, like, we're more than just like a gallery. We bring in great shows from far away, not really just Sacramento based artists. But we have an amazing education program. So I'm the public engagement coordinator, but I've also in the education program, I've been a part of the education program for the past 2 years, started there. So I would just direct you to, it's kind of sad, but I would probably direct you to our website, which is like kind of lists all of our classes that we have. But also if you came into Verge, I would show you the actual classroom. It is massive. And I love showing people the classroom because it's so dynamic. It changes. It's like our multi-purpose room. And, because we have so many different things going on in there, it's never the same. Even like for our weekly clay lab, for our weekly clay lab, like things are always shifting, just because things kind of have to stay mobile because of other events happening in the classroom. Plus it has a beautiful yellow cement floor that I helped paint.
Oh my gosh, wow. You must be proud of that because that is a huge room. I can't even imagine how many gallons of like yellow paint that would have taken.
It was a lot. So anyways, so I would direct you to the classroom, show you around the classroom, and probably take you inside the kiln room, which is basically a storage closet. But it's my favorite room in Verge. I often eat my lunch in there. Just because it's just so dank and dark and full of like ceramic stuff, and the kiln is oftentimes going, and it's warm, cozy. I don't know if dank and cozy have ever really been in the same description, but
we live in California. It's definitely in the same description.
So I guess if you've never been to Verge, that's kind of what I would direct you to. Also, there's a really cool mural like in the hallway where the bathrooms are. So I love showing people that. Yeah, it's so Donte, if you ever need a restroom,
Thank you.
Just go in there.
I have a couple jars. Don't worry, it's all good.
Okay.
Oh God.
Good,
No,
good.
coincidentally, I am selling lemonade.
Oh God.
Yeah, a yellow colored slip, I believe. Yeah.
There's something like 37, I think I saw on the website when I was preparing for this interview. There's a bunch of artist studios as
Oh yeah.
there's like the education area, there's like the
Yes.
gallery, and then there's the whole like artist studios.
I want
Yeah.
I want my own room so hard.
Yeah, so there's a gang of artists, resident artists, that occupy Verge, and there's Myrtle Press. So they rent out a space inside Verge, in the back area. They do classes and stuff, and they also do labs too, like a printmaking studio.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So I got introduced to Verge. Well, actually, I kind of already was going there and like would, go to shows there. But Natalie Valentine, she used to work there, and I'm friends. I'm just friends with her and a group of friends. And so she's also friends with Daniel Trejo, who has a studio there, who also used to work there and used to do the clay lab. Every week on Saturdays. And so once he stopped working there, because he has like a full-time job and does like studio work and does he does all the things. Anyways, he's great.
So he doesn't sleep like you, Donte.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm convinced it's a thing with artists. Like anytime I meet an artist, like, oh yeah, I was up till 3 a.m. working on a project, and I'm like, can we all just ignore sleep points until like a certain point?
No. Exhaustion racks up, man. Sleep is the baseline of health. You gotta sleep.
It's like a demon came down and was like, hey, you can make beautiful artwork, but I need like 20 years of your life based on sleep deprivation that's going to cause you this artwork. And you're going to be like, that's a great trade. This planet sucks. I won't be here that long.
Oh my God. Oh, I disagree with you on that. I want to be here as long as I possibly can. But
Yeah, I don't know. I'm somewhere in the middle. I don't know. I go stints kind of without sleeping for a long time, but also like I love sleep, and I will hardcore sleep for a long time. Anyways, okay.
Yeah. No, I feel it. Yeah. Nighttime is 50% of all time, and so if I sleep too much, I feel like I'm wasting time. But if I don't sleep enough, I'm not as efficient with my time because I just don't work as well. So I feel like you know what I mean? It's a vicious cycle if you
It's
go
a balance,
one or the other.
right? It's a balance.
Yeah.
Are you going to be a little bit wabi-sabi on that? I mean,
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
yes. Anyway, you were saying with Verge of the Studios and Daniel Trejo.
Yeah, and so he just needed to not work Clay Lab along with all of his other things that he has going on. So Natalie reached out to me because she knew I was, into clay, and asked if, I was interested in working, that I should reach out to Verge. And so Aida at the time, she was the education manager, and I knew her through City College, and so I left her a couple voicemails saying that, I'm interested in, working Clay Lab, and she eventually got back to me, and yeah, and that's basically how I landed the Clay Lab job of my dreams. And yeah, I believe you were there like on my first day working there.
Yeah, I think so. Because that would have been early 2020, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
it was
or late 2019.
Month before the shutdown, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's amazing how many of those like looking at the connections. It's like Sac City and just anyway like I remember being younger and being like, how do people like form like communities around like these things, or how do these like how do you
Totally.
like get, you know, jobs or positions in these things? And it's just amazing how much, I mean, again, truly so much of it is like is networking and just
Yeah.
like and not intentionally going about, like I didn't go to Sac City being like I'm
yeah.
gonna like, you know, meet these things and then in, you know, 5 years I'm gonna get a, you know, a teaching thing at Verge. It was like, it's just coincidental, but it's amazing how many of those like ties there are.
Yeah, and you know, that's the great thing about Sacramento is that it is kind of small, and we kind of all do like have ties to each other, and can really support each other, and also kind of hold each other accountable for, you know, just producing work and be, you know, and just kind of not necessarily producing work, but just being engaged in the work, yeah, and with each other. And through that, I really feel like that's kind of where the inspiration lays, you know, like it's having a place, and it's not necessarily like a physical place. It's just like having a place where you feel like you belong. And having others feel that too. And also like getting together, you know, I think that is a really crucial part of it. And whether it's like through, you know, this space of the internet, or physically being in a huge building like Verge, or even Wall, for that matter. Yeah. Warehouse, artist lofts. Wall.
Right.
For our out of town listeners, or listeners who may not know about the amazing artist lofts that are on our street, and the
Yeah.
shops and galleries on the bottom layer.
Yeah.
If you're in Sacramento and you haven't been there, go check it out. It's
Yes.
so cool.
Gosh,
It's huge. Like if you're walking down the street, you'll see like a really old rustic runic building with basically just people living in the windows that haven't been redone in a while, and you're like, what's with that? Like, oh, those are artists.
They were redone. They were specifically redone. Like they put up that whole building,
Yeah.
like windows.
The insides are beautiful. I went into a couple of them because I thought I was going to live there, and then they were like, you can't put a kiln in here. And I was like, well, why did you invite me?
Yeah, having a kiln is definitely one of those things where, yeah, if the space isn't set up for it, people tend to be very hesitant. I think
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
They were thinking about dancers and like painters and
Yeah.
I don't think they thought about like the needs of every single, but that's not really their fault. We're just really divergent on what, like, I need a box of fire in a one bedroom apartment, please. And they're like, no. And I'm like, but I need it because art. And they're like, no. For obvious reasons, no.
Yeah, we're kind of a unique breed.
I feel like that's a good segue point into being like, okay, for people who are in Sacramento and like want to work with clay but can't have a box of fire in their house or wherever
Yeah.
they live, what are some of the clay resources that that Verge offers for our dear
Yeah.
listeners and viewers?
Yeah, so we have Clay Lab, which happens twice a week. It's on Tuesday nights from 5 to 8, and Saturday mornings 10 to 1. And so if you're a member, it's a huge discount. Each Clay Lab is $15 if you're a member. Yeah, and it gets cheaper if you buy like, it's like a class pass, where you can buy like 4 passes at a time or 10 passes at a time. So I think like it could be as low as like $12 at Clay Lab. Which is nuts, just because we provide everything. Like we provide, like, you just show up and we do, like, we have everything there for you, and we do all the firings. I mostly do the firings there. Myself and Amy, the deputy director. And
you run both of those clay labs, right?
I mean,
Right. Unofficial. Yeah, yeah.
For sure. I do like the demonstrations there. We just hired another person to work Clay Lab, who also does demonstrations, and he's also a potter, Tate. But yeah, I'm there every Clay Lab, running the show mostly. the education manager now, Nicole Martin, she's great. She's a huge supporter of Clay Lab. And we do outside firings too. So if you don't have a box of fire, and you do like to mess around with clay at home, you could bring your wares over to Verge, and we have like a $5 minimum. And I believe an entire shelf is like $25 or something, and half a shelf is $15.
That's not bad. Yeah.
It's
Some
not.
places charge by like the cubic inch.
Which is confusing. I don't really understand. Like I'm bad at math.
That's why we're artists.
And like
I ain't gotta do none of that.
That's a generalization, Donte. Not all artists are bad at math.
That's true, because I make my own glazes, so I have to be kind of at least somewhat good at math. But once they put letters in there, no.
Once they put letters in there.
wait, there's oh gosh. Yeah. I would like to make my own glazes some days, but I'm also someday. But that's just Bob showed me one time and or a couple of times, and I'm still just like, oh well, I'm just gonna buy some glazes.
Plenty of us know how. If you ever, it's more intimidating than it is difficult. Like it's really just like putting together juice. But with dirt in it.
Or like baking.
It's like
Like formulating your own glazes, like figuring out like, okay, how much silica versus how much like custard feldspar versus like iron oxide. You know, like formulating your own glaze is its whole own thing.
Yeah.
But like if you have the recipe for a glaze, it's literally like baking. So it's pretty easy. Anyway, if you ever want to like come over to the studio, I'll show you sometime.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah, Lindsey and I know how to make the juice.
Wait, so do you also bake?
I do. I'm not that good, but I absolutely love baking.
Like actual food?
Well, pastries and cookies and cake and bread.
I can't do none of that. I don't know how to use any of that.
It's okay. I'll make you cookies, and that'll be my return for you continuously buying me boba whenever we go out. So Verge has the Clay Lab, and then periodically it also offers like wheel throwing classes too, right? I mean, I know it's with COVID, it's kind of been a little bit, it seems like it's kind of been a little bit on and off just with the various shutdowns and such, but
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've been doing a monthly class. I think we're gonna stick to Wednesday nights. Wednesday nights just works for me. And CJ, she has been teaching a wheel class during Saturday afternoons after Clay Lab. Yeah, and that kind of, that's been happening off and on, but usually we'll have one or the other for sure. And we have a huge outdoor area that we always have Clay Lab Saturday edition outside as well as indoors. Tuesday nights it's a little tough because it gets dark so early these days, and we don't really have like a whole lot of lighting out there. Plus it's cold. But last year, it was nuts because there was some hardcore clay labbers that would, endure the cold and be out there just like, messing around with their clay. And we put heaters out there. But yeah. So, there's some hardcore clay labbers out there. I love them. They're great. I look forward to Clay Lab every Tuesday and Saturday. I don't really like to get up early, but Saturday mornings I like literally jump out of bed and I'm just ready just to get Clay Labbing. And then there's like kids camp too. Kids camp, we had an all clay kids camp. This last kids camp, I think it was for fall. It was like a 3 or 4 days of just clay. And one day was all wheel throwing.
Oh my gosh. I can only imagine what that was like.
I'm deeply sorry.
It was so much fun, but a lot of work. It was really interesting. And you know, it was kind of fascinating how the kids just went for it. Like, they weren't scared at all. They were just like, get my hands in there and like, let's do this, you know, which was great. I really loved that. I really loved it.
Yeah. It is kind of amazing, like the hesitancy that, like, kind of once you get older, there's so, I mean, like, because gosh, I was volunteering at Sac City after I basically went through all the classes that I could take, and then, you know, was volunteering with Mimi, the studio technician.
Oh yeah.
And then anyway, so I've seen so many students, and it's just like, it's amazing. There's like this like oh, I don't want to do it wrong, and it's amazing how kids just like, they just do things, and it's just like, man, like they really do teach us things, these youngins. You know,
They don't have the social judgment yet. They don't have the, if I mess up, people will socially think bad about me, and that lowers my social credit score. Kids are like, I don't have a bank yet. I'm not 18. I don't care.
Yeah. But also, like, what I see during my wildering classes is like, oh man, like a lot of these adults, they feel bad about like wasting clay, you know? And I mean, I totally get that. Just because we don't recycle clay at Verge, not yet anyways. You know, I like, it just takes a lot.
You've given Dante the Vespers. Yeah, no, recycling is its own whole operation. I can see how that would be something that like once you get a pug mill or something to kind of assist with the process. So
yeah, I think eventually we'll get there. It's really tough when everything has to kind of stay mobile. We have to kind of like, you know, transform that classroom a lot. So, you know, maybe someday we'll have, you know, a place where it's just dedicated to clay lab and clay, all things clay at Verge. That's my dream anyways.
I'll come over and make, me and Lindsey will, I don't speak for Lindsey, but yes I do. We'll come over and make like 4 plaster slabs for you. If you ever need us, we'll recycle all them clays. The amount of money you could save could be a lot.
I mean, let's talk. I mean, I'm down. Totally. Yeah, I mean, you're 5 blocks away, dude. Let's do this.
Yeah, Dante.
Yeah, me and Lindsey did a video on, is quite popular too. Made a video on how to like make your own plaster slab.
Which we borrowed, or not borrowed, but which we took from Sue McLeod, who we love. By the way, like, if you're ever interested in like the technical side of stuff, Anna, you should look her up, because she's the one who...
Yes. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
So she's the one who did this tutorial, and so it's Sue McLeod's tutorial that Dante and I used to make a video on Dante's YouTube channel. I've always feel like we got to shout her out, because it's like so many people love that video, and it's like, it's not us. It's just, we just did the thing that Sue told us to do.
She taught me how to weigh gravity. She taught us how to do the plaster thing. She's taught me like crucial keystones in my pottery process. But it's all the tutorials that I saw on YouTube were all like, oh, you have to go to the woods and chop down a tree and then fletch the wood and then get a 4x4 and put plaster in it and whatever size you want and then mix it. Sue was like, get a tote and put plaster and water in there. And then wait a while.
And then she made it easier.
She made it so easy.
So Verge also coordinates the SAC Open Studio Tour as well, right? I want our listeners to go check that out as well, because that's another like really...
It's great. It's huge. It's quite the task. I'm learning now behind the scenes. It's like basically a year-long like preparation to do this annual event. Yeah, but it's amazing. I mean, it's all throughout Sacramento, and I think this last time there was one in Woodland too, which I was like, whoa, what the hell? That's great. Hell yeah, you go Woodland. But yeah, I think it's the month of September. It's usually like the 2nd and 3rd weekend of September. But so yeah, it's 2 weekends. The first weekend is more like downtown Sacramento, Midtown area, and then the second weekend is like the surrounding areas in Sacramento and beyond. I know Bob and Sonia Schumacher. They're out in Galt, and they share their studio out there. So yeah, it's pretty extensive.
Is Verge doing anything special for the upcoming NCECA conference? Because that's
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Oh,
So
yes.
is there anything
Yeah.
that you can like hint at?
Yeah. So we are we're part of the there's gonna be this like event at Southside Park. I believe it's called Southside Park. Yeah. It's like the park right next to Verge.
Oh yes.
Yeah. And so there's going to be this huge event there where there's going to be like booths and stuff like that. And it's a free event. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be like a collaborative effort to make this like sculptural piece. Yeah.
Oh, is that I think that Iana, because we interviewed Iana Nova
Yes.
Frisbee.
Yeah.
Yes, and she was talking about how it's going to be like a cornucopia like
Yes.
type thing. Yes, that's
Yeah.
so cool. So there's going to be the whole like there's going to be like booths and stuff kind of around that whole thing.
Yeah, totally. And it's totally free for the public, which is great. Considering it's NCECA.
Do you have the dates of when that's going to be? Is it going to be like over that weekend, or is
It's
it
gonna
like
be-
the week before?
I think it's the weekend before. I'm pretty sure it's the weekend before. And I can get you like the exact dates and we could throw that in the notes.
Cool. Yes.
But yeah, and so and there's also going to be like a bus tour through NCECA, and we're like one of the stops. There's like many stops, and so a lot of different places are like having like their own reception, and the bus will stop at each of those receptions. And so we're going to have a show in the gallery for NCECA. And then there's also going to be like this parade. Iana mentioned it too, this parade to transport this big sculptural piece to the Crocker. It might be like because I believe Verge will be storing the sculpture, as it just needs a place to like stay the night, needs somewhere to crash. So yeah. And then from there, we're going to take it over to the Crocker, and hopefully it should be its own fantastic parade event.
That's so fun. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. Do you know what the show is going to be in the gallery itself at that time as well? Is that also going to be a ceramics related thing?
It totally is. Yeah, it's totally going to be a ceramic show. I honestly don't know who all the artists are. They're from like all over the place, like surrounding Sacramento. So yeah, it should be a really, really interesting show. I'm really looking forward to it. I've never been to an NCECA conference.
We tried.
Yeah, we did.
We tried.
Yeah. And then COVID happened.
Like the day of, like we were buying tickets, and then we were like, "You heard about this new flu going around?"
It's fine.
We were like,
We're
"Man,
all
it's
in
all
it."
right. It's all good." It was not all good.
No, it was not.
I really like the fact that we're kind of a part of like these free events happening around NCECA and during NCECA, just because not everybody can afford to go to a national conference, and not everybody really wants to be around all the crowds and that sort of thing, and so I really appreciate the fact that there are other happenings around NCECA that are free. Because I think that is crucial. And I think that's what really sets Verge apart too, is like having affordable services and outlets, and I think that is really helping our diversity.
That was one thing I definitely wanted to ask about, because that's something that came up with our conversation with Iana as well, is that, with art and with ceramics, there just continue to be these disparities of access, and of course, the white supremacist culture that continues to not provide equal opportunities and support traditionally marginalized groups.
Yeah.
So you're speaking to Verge's having actual things that are more affordable. I think. Anyway,
absolutely.
tell me more about that.
I think that's super important. That's kind of one of the reasons why I never really pursued the art degree, is I just really got sick of academia. And I mean, my mentor is an old white guy, Bob Schumacher. He's great. I love him. It's just, I can only handle so many of them, it's just I love Bob, but it's just, I just didn't want to continue this art, academic field, because it was just full of white guys. And I was looking at Sac State, and they're great there. I love Sac State. I go to Alpha Ceramics, and I took classes there, and they're great folks. It's just I was just seeing the same demographic kind of everywhere, and I was like, man, and then if I go somewhere else that is super connected to ceramics, a place like Montana or something like that, which I have family. I think they're probably one of the 2 Mexican families in Montana. I don't know.
Oh God.
But I mean, same deal over there, there's just not a whole lot of diversity. So what Verge is doing, I think, is very crucial, especially in Sacramento, because there's a huge, we are very diverse in Sacramento, and I want to see more people of color come through there. I mean, and I think that's kind of huge why people don't go there, Donte, is because, they just don't want to be surrounded by that type of just rich old white people buying art, selling art.
The culture of the upper echelons of the art world is kind of, even to me, is I just don't like anything above lower middle class culture. I'm like, you guys buy and do unnecessary. It bugs me a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not something that I want to be around, and it's not something that the people that I am frequently around want to be around either.
What's really interesting is Lindsey and I talk about this every now and then, is that there's certain demographics that are represented mostly by females, but for some strange reason, sexism is dominated by males. Even I'm a chef in my 9-to-5 job. Even the kitchen world is everybody in the kitchen except for 2 people are male. Mm-hmm. But in usually the stereotype of cooking is female. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the ceramic and the painting art world. The majority of artists I know, or especially when I go to conventions, they're mostly female, but all the famous artists that can come to the top of your head are male.
Right.
And usually white, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that's a reason why I think representation of this kind of thing is, because it's sticking your hand in a bag of M&Ms, mixed M&Ms, and pulling out only green ones for 100 years.
It's almost as though those green ones have been particularly picked by structures
right. It's
of
as if
sexism and racism.
As if there was a system built by the factory that put the green M&Ms first for some odd reason.
Can't imagine why.
Yeah.
And to your note with diversity in Sacramento, you're right about that. It's very strange because when I've only gone out of town 2 or 3 times in my life, and it's so weird to go to an area with one type of person.
Right.
I tell this to Lindsey all the time. I went to Utah once, and I was like, where's the rest of your people? And they were like, this is all of them. And I was like, no, I'm the only person I'm white still, and I have curly hair. I'm the only one with curly hair. That's how much diversity you don't have. And then they're like, your name's Donte? Are you Italian? And I'm like, yeah, I'm totally Italian. Let's go with that. Let's go with that. But you're right. Sacramento is very, very diverse to the point where when I go somewhere else, it's almost a culture shock where I'm like, wow, they were right. I thought Sacramento was base and every city had this. They don't. A lot of cities don't have this type of melting pot, I suppose. I hate using that word because people describe it so much as a melting pot, but it really is. Like
sounds delicious.
2 blocks over is a richer neighborhood than me.
Oh, maybe with cheese and some fondue. Not to bring it back to white people things, but
Yeah, I was thinking like more like a ramen or like a bibimbap or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh, that too.
I'm telling you. They do weird extra stuff. They're like, it's fondue. And I'm like, it's melted cheese. Stop it. And they're like, no. It's higher class. It costs more.
Dante.
I'm like, no. You melted cheese and called it something different and made me pay more for it. Don't BS me.
Oh man, it's still delicious. It's still delicious. Yeah.
It's still cheese, but...
Which I can't digest it, which is fine.
Oh, yeah, no. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. And then when that happens, I am thankful that my boyfriend loves me. So...
Yeah, it's good to have a supported partner there with you to smell your farts. Yep.
Somebody who will look you dead in the face and be like, it's not that bad, babe. You know it's that bad because you can smell it.
All right, I think this is indicating that we are done. I think...
Oh, were the fart jokes the line, Lindsay?
I know the fart jokes, guys. We're gonna keep this real classy.
Oh, that's great.
Gosh, Anna, thank you so much for sitting with us. And I guess just before we officially close out, is there anything that we didn't ask you that you feel like you wanna talk about before we head out? Donte, I kind of ended up asking a lot of the questions.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Some people love you and some people love me, but this was their episode for sure. They're like, I wish Donte would shut up. Well, here's your episode.
Oh, yeah. Is there anything else that you want to...
I just want to say that I think this is like, I hope that this is like a kind of, and I know we've known each other a long time, Lindsey, but I think that, and I hope that we can kind of get together more. And just because I don't really know a whole lot of like potters, I mean, there are ceramic artists like at Verge and like Daniel that I have gotten very close with, but also so I'd love to kind of foster this kind of relationship and I mean, if y'all like to bake and have a box of fire, in your workstations, I'm down for a first date.
You can come to the next pit fire we have.
Oh my god. Yes.
If you want. I have a pit fire kiln in my backyard that I built. Oh, it's not really it's a pit, so it's not like I built it with science, but it's a pit fire.
Yeah.
So, but I built one, and Lindsey and I do like 1 or 2 a year. You can totally come over.
Oh my god, yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I would really like that too, because I know we've kind of, like you said, we've known each other for a while, just kind of touching base here and there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm hella down.
Please. Yeah, I want to, and it's recorded. It's on the record now.
Yes.
Normalize.
I can't back out. Ladies, like, Anna. Who's Anna? What? Not that I would ever do that, but
In 2020, normalize shooting your shot. All right. She just bagged 2 potters. What are you doing with your lives?
We're making friends. We got fireboxes. It's great.
Yeah, great. And I think that's I want to see more of that, and not only just to kind of help each other, but also like to help out like anyone that's like, trying to figure out what the hell this clay thing is, or even just like art in general, and want to explore different mediums, because I think that that helps everyone out. Because I didn't, it took me a while to find clay, and once I found it, I was just like, okay, this is it, I feel at home here, and I'm never gonna stop.
You know it when you know it.
Yeah.
You really.
Yeah.
after a certain level, you're like, I like this. I'm gonna keep doing this.
But yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting inside that garage and yeah, tasting some baked goods. Mm-hmm. And some boba.
She trying to get in the garage, tasting baked goods. God no. She's so forward with it. I appreciate it. That's strength right there.